So what is called as steam point locus. Steam point locus and the reheat factor and the design procedure for the impulsant steam impulsant reaction steam turbine. So these are the three subtopics we'll be discussing. Okay. Now, before we get into what is this steam local point, already we know something about the stage efficiency. So what is the stage efficiency? Stage efficiency for any steam turbine. Okay. The stage efficiency is defined as your shaft power or the power available at the shaft to the rotor power or isentropic power. Okay. The isentropic power. If I try to explain or express the same thing in terms of enthalpy drop, okay, your shaft power will be actual enthalpy drop to isentropic enthalpy drop. This is your stage efficiency. If I try to express it on an HS diagram, so this is my enthalpy and entropy diagram, just diagram, and your pressure curves are diverging like this. Okay, and your isentropic enthalpy drop from point 1 to 2 dash, this being a pressure P1, this being a pressure P2. So what will happen if it is actually the enthalpy drop will go like this. So it will be the point 2. So this is for this is for one particular stage. If I have multiple stages, so multiple stage means what will happen? It may be a stator and a rotor. So usually we try to consider with respect to a particular stage or whatever. Now when you have this particular enthalpy drop or this particular thing, we come across certain mass flow rates. We come across certain mass flow rates. So if I nomenclature, if I name it, if Mi is the total internal stream flow, total internal steam flow. This is per kg per second, so it is m dot. So this is in kg per second. So this is the thing which may be entering, but what will happen? There is something which is flowing through the nozzle. So steam flow through the nozzle, which is also kg per second. See, nozzle has certain glands. So these are the glands which will be supporting in the nozzle. Okay, steam flow through there will be some kind of a diaphragm. This diaphragms will be holding the glands. So okay, so we have something called as mass flow rate through the gland. So we call that as steam flow through the nozzle diaphragm glands to the diaphragm nozzle glands. Okay. So what will be the total mass flow? If I try to take it, so it is the summation of What is the mass flow going through the nozzle plus mass flow going through the gland? So whenever we try to calculate the shaft power, when I try to calculate for any impulse turbine. So shaft power for an impulse turbine. Shaft power impulse turbine is, so I can call it as, so let it be P suffix S, impulse turbine, let me put as I. So this will be your total mass flow rate Mi into your enthalpy drop isentropic. Okay, isentropic enthalpy drop. This is through the nozzle. This will be the in case of impulse turbine. Now if I come to the shaft power for an impulse reaction turbine, so shaft power for an impulse reaction turbine. So let me call it as PS IR. I do have the mass flow rate m dot I, but the enthalpy drop I need to consider isentropic enthalpy drop for the nozzle as well as for the blade or rotor. So nozzle plus delta H isentropic drop for the blade or the vane. So this is the major difference what we see across between a simple power developed for an impulse case with respect to impulse reaction case. So in the impulse reaction case, we do have the enthalpy drop occurring in both stator vanes or nozzle and the rotor. But what happens in case of a impulse turbine? All the enthalpy, whatever the enthalpy that happens in a nozzle can be directly considered for multiplied with the mass flow rate. If I do, I'll be able to calculate a corresponding your power actually. So here, when I try to put some kind of an losses, what are the different types of losses that can occur during the when the wheel, so usually what will happen if I have a wheel something like this, so this is my wheel, okay, on the wheel I do have the blades or vanes like this, so I do have a set of vanes. Okay, if this is the wheel, so the wheel may be rotating in this direction, whatever the direction. So your shaft power, whatever we call the shaft power, who has to undergo, see whatever the shaft power is the shaft the available at this particular shaft. If this is my shaft, okay, at the center or the axis, but there is some kind of losses occurring because of some kind of friction or maybe because of the admission, partial admission. So we have some kind of a losses. So what it will be actually, we do have the rotor power, or we can call it as the disc power or a drum power, whatever it may be, minus all the losses. So minus losses. Okay. Now, what are these losses include? These losses include the disc friction losses, disc friction losses, and we do have some kind of loss due to improper admission of steam, and some of the books they call it as partial admission. So improper admission or partial admission. So these two losses becomes little bit major for us. The total, they both this friction and improper admission, they call it as wheel friction. So the total, the combined thing they call it as wheel friction losses. Okay, the shaft power will be equal to the rotor power minus your wheel friction losses. So this becomes important for us. So this is about it. Now, once we know about this actually, we need to know what is nothing but state point locus. So it's state point locus for a single stage turbine. If I go for a multi-stage turbine, it becomes state point loci. Okay, let's look at it. What it is actually. The state point locus of an impulse turbine. Okay, what it is as a impulse turbine. Now let us to understand this. Let's look into the HS diagram. So this is my HS diagram. Okay, H enthalpy diagram, and these are my pressure curves. For my pressure curves, and I try to expand it. So if I try to put a dome for it, the dome may be something like this. Okay, this is your dome. Now, if I try to expand from a, so this is my P1, this is my P2. If I try to expand from the point, say from where the superheated condition, if I try to expand it isentropically, my point, say if I call this as A and this as B. So this is my isentropic enthalpy drop. It we call it as isentropic enthalpy drop. So as we know, according to second law of thermodynamics, the entropy, whenever there is an expansion or whenever the process, whenever the any kind of medium undergoes some kind of a process, entropy keeps increasing for any actual process. So because of this actually, your actual process maybe if it is may go like this. Okay, it may reach a point if it is exactly dry saturated. I'll call that as D. Okay. Now, what is this actually? There is, this is due to loss. Okay. This is due to the loss because of some losses. Now, whether these losses are sufficient, whether these losses are actual, but if you look at other types of losses, maybe there may be losses within the blade itself. If I consider that, what will happen? This point C may move to some other point D. Okay, C may move to some other point D, which is called as, see, this may be losses in the considering the nozzle or whatever it may be. Then I may be having a point where this losses may be due to, so if I consider this may be losses due to moving blades. So this may be loss due to moving blades. Okay. What about the, just now we discussed something called as a disk friction losses. So because of that, this point may move further up. Okay. If I take into consideration that also, so those losses are loss due to disk friction or whatever it may be, due to disk friction. Now, if I try to look at the what will be the actual expansion that's occurring, this is the point from A to E. So this will be my actual expansion. Okay, if the disk losses are not there, then it will be A to D. So A to C is actually, this may be a losses because of, if I consider only the expansion in the losses in the nozzle itself. If I consider the losses in the blade, if I consider losses in other types of losses, so this point E is called as the state point locus. So E is called as the state point locus. Okay. Why it is so significant? Now, if I take any stage, if all the losses are considered, E is the exit for that particular stage. So, E becomes the exit for that stage. E becomes the exit for that particular stage. So, for the preceding stage, what is for the next subsequent stage? This becomes the entry point. Okay. E is the exit point for that particular stage, but E becomes the entry point for the subsequent stage. So instead of steam entering at either C or D with the low more losses are there, if it enters at E, so what will be the condition of the steam? The condition of the steam is dry and superheated, but at that particular pressure. Okay. Now, if I go for multi-staging, with this the same thing, if I go for multi-staging, what will happen? Let's draw the HS diagram for a two-stage or three-stage. Then you'll be able to understand. So let's draw it for a three-stage. Same HS diagram. Okay. Let's draw it for a three-stage. These are my curves which are diverging. Yeah, diverging. Now, if I try to expand it, so it's a single expansion means it is single expansion. So this is my P1, P2, P3, P4. Okay, single expansion. If I call this as 1, 2, 3, so if I call this as maybe a 4. Okay. Now, what will happen if it expands? If it expands to this, what will be the actual expansion? The actual expansion will be going somewhere like this. The actual expansion will be, if I take only the E points, if I take the E points, it will be going like this. If I take the E points, it's a simple curve actually. It will be going like this. It will be, it's not a straight line, it's a curve. Okay. At any given point, you look at this. So if I try to draw a line, so this is my point 2 or whatever it may be. At any given point, this may be your 2, this is your point 3. Okay. Now, if this is the point actually, this is the point, this is 2 dash, if I call this as 2 dash and 4 dash. If this is the point, actual point, this is 2. Okay. Now, if there is an expansion from here, so isentropic in that particular stage, it may come to a point, I can call that as 3 double dash, this will be 3. Okay. Now, if I take the third stage, the expansion will be, this will be 4 double dash and this will be 4. So, first stage, second stage, and I can go for like this n number of multiple stages if I look at it. Now, if I try to look at each stage expansion, if I look at it, so if I try to take a stage efficiency of the first one, so if I try to consider the stage efficiency of the first one, so this will be H1 minus H2 divided by H1 minus H2 dash. Okay, this will be a stage efficiency. What about the stage efficiency for the second one? This will be H2 minus H3 divided by H2 minus H3 double dash. What about for the third one? This will be H3 minus H4 divided by H3 minus H4 double dash. So what are this? See the points 2, 3 and 4 those are called as your what we call it as state point loci. The state point loci. State point loci. Okay. Now, what is the significance of it? The significance of this particular thing, in fact, that particular, it clearly indicates with what condition the steam entered the subsequent stage. Okay, with what condition the steam enters the subsequent stage. This is very important. So because of this, we come across one simple factor, what is called as the reheat factor. We come across what is called as the reheat factor. What is this reheat factor? This is the cumulative heat drop. What is the cumulative heat drop means? What is happening stage by stage? What's happening to the single and maybe single stage heat drop? So this becomes very important when we take up the any kind of steam turbine. Any kind of steam turbine when we try to analyze with respect to thermodynamic what's happening. Okay, reheat factor, or maybe you might have seen in case of a compressor, we have something called as a preheat factor. Okay, the reheat factor, if I try to write the work done expansion for it, okay, if I try to write the work done expansion for it, so it's a 3 stage. So if I go for a single stage, let me go for a single stage, W, yes, a single stage. If I go, this will be, okay, H1 minus H4 double dash, okay, H4 dash, H1 minus H4 dash, H1 minus H4 dash. Okay, what will happen if I go for the first stage, or if I go for stage work done? So if I go for a stage work done, so WS for the first stage, ST1. Let me go to stage 1. So let me call it as S1. So what it is actually? H1 minus your H2 dash. Yeah, H1 minus H2 dash. So what will be for the second stage, S2? It is H2 minus H3 dash, H3 double dash, H2 minus H3 double dash. And what is the stage for third stage? It is H3 minus H4 double dash. So we have the individual work tons, and this is for a single stage. This is for, I call this as equation 2, this as equation 1. Now, if I try to substitute for this single stages, that is H1 minus H2 by H1 minus H2 dash, H2 minus H3 by H2 minus H3 dash, H3 minus H4 by H3 minus H4. So these are called as, see, stage efficiencies. So what will happen? The stage efficiencies are same. If I go with a condition, if the stage efficiencies are same, the stage efficiencies are same. Otherwise, this would have been stage efficiency of first one, stage efficiency of the second one, stage efficiency of the third one. If all my stage efficiencies are same, so what I can write your actual work done as, your actual work done will be, that is your H1 minus H2 for the first stage. See, actual work done are, what are the actual work done? H1 minus H2 for the first stage. The second stage is H2 minus H3, and for the third stage it is H3 minus H4. Okay. Now, if I consider, see, the actual work done. Therefore, your actual work done, I can write in terms of that. I can write it as the stage efficiency into H1 minus H2 dash. Fine. Similarly, the actual work done 2 is equal to your stage efficiency into H2 minus H3 dash. The actual work done for the third stage, it is stage efficiency into H3 minus H4 double dash. Sorry, H3 dash, H3 double dash and H4 double dash. Now, what is your total isentropic work done? The total isentropic work done. What is it actually? It's a sum of all your stage work done. So stage work done means, if I call it as stage work done, all I, that is W S1 plus stage work done 2, stage work done 3. If I have more, I can simply add up all the things, sum of all the stages. So what are those actually? This is H1 minus H2 dash plus H2 minus H3 double dash plus H3 minus H4 double dash and plus so on. What is your total actual work done? Total actual work done. Okay. Sum of all your work done added. That is actual work done first stage, actual work done second stage, actual work done third stage, and so on. Okay. So if I try to add it, if I try to add all these things one by one, so what I'm going to get, I can put it as H1 minus H2 plus H2 minus H3 plus H3 minus H4. Now, if I try to substitute in terms of your isentropic, your stage efficiencies, already I have the stage efficiency into H1 minus H2 dash plus the stage efficiency into H2 minus H3 double dash plus the stage efficiency into H3 minus H4 double dash and so on. As my stage efficiency is common, I can take it out. So I can write it as stage efficiency. So this will become H1 minus H2 dash plus H2 minus H3 double dash plus H3 minus H4 double dash and so on. So this is my actual work done total. Okay. Now if you closely observe, what is this actually? This whole quantity, it is the total stage work done. This is the one. If we look at this, compare this thing and this thing, both are same. So I can write it as your summation of all work done is equal to your stage efficiency into your sum of your stage work done. So let me call that as sum equation number 3 or 4. Okay. Now if I try to do the same thing in a single stage, if I try to do the expansion, if the steam is expanded in a single stage, the steam is expanded in a single stage, what will happen? I can call that as your turbine efficiency or total efficiency, whatever it may be. This is your actual expansion. So if I try to go for, instead of having all those things, it's a single stage. If I go for a single stage like this, okay, it's like a single stage, HS, but your pressures are the same. So your pressure may be P1, P2. So P4 is equal to P1, P4. In that case, what will happen is a single stage like this, 1 to 2. So this may be your see 1 to 2 dash, and this may be 1 to 2. So what will happen? Your total efficiency, or it will be equal to your actual work done, which is H1 minus H2 divided by H1 minus H2 dash. Okay. Then what is your actual work done? Is equal to your total efficiency into your that particular single stage isentropic efficiency. So let me call that as isentropic efficiency. Call it as equation number 5. Now, if the operating pressures are the same, if my operating pressures are the same, the path followed by 1 to 2 or 1 to 4 remains same. Okay, the path followed, see, path followed by the actual curve working between the same pressures. Okay, if the path followed by, that means if the actual work path, if the actual work path remains same, then what will happen? My actual work done are same, so I can equate. If that's the same, then equation 4 and 5 can be equated. They are equal. That is, your the stage efficiency into your stage efficiency into your total summation of stage work is equal to your total efficiency or your single stage efficiency into your isentropic work done. Or I can take the ratio of the total isentropic work done to a single stage isentropic work done is equal to your total efficiency divided by your stage efficiency. So for the same work done, so if I call this as some equation 6, so if I try to look into this HS diagrams, all my pressure curves are diverging. As my pressure curves are diverging, if I try to add 1 to 2 dash, 2 to 3 dash, 3 double dash, 3 to 4 double dash, that means if I try to add the enthalpies H1 minus H2 dash plus H2 minus H3 double dash plus H3 minus H4 double dash. If I try to individually add the isentropic enthalpy drops, will be greater than the single stage enthalpy drop of H1 minus H2. Okay, for the same work done, for the same work done, this summation of isentropic work is greater than your single stage isentropic work. What is the reason? The reason is my pressure lines or curves are divergent or divergent. Because of this reason, what will happen if that is the case? If my numerator is greater than my denominator, I can clearly write my efficiency, total efficiency is greater than your stage efficiency. Okay, so because of this particular thing, okay, this factor, that is the summation of your total isentropic work, stage work to single stage turbine work, this one we call it as a reheat factor. Okay, we call that as a reheat factor. Now let us define it. Reheat factor, RF. What it is actually? It is defined as, it is the ratio of, it is the ratio of sum of work done, ratio of sum of work done in stages the stages of the turbine, in the stages of the turbine, to the work done in a single stage, in a single stage of the turbine. Okay, so that's why the RF is actually is equal to sum of stage turn divided by this thing. This is always greater than 1. Now, when I speak of this number greater than 1, so it has some relationship with respect to your quality of the steam I am going to admit. Okay, if I try to plot something like this, plot your, I have on my y-axis your reheat factor. If I have a reheat factor on y-axis and your stage efficiency on my x-axis, so this is my stage efficiency and I have my reheat factor. So reheat factor 1 may be a starting point. Okay, 1 maybe 1.02, 1.04, 1.06, 1.08, 1.10, 1.12, 1.14, 1.16. Okay, so go like that. Now, what will be the efficiencies if I start with 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9 and 1. Now, depending on the condition, say if my P inlet and P exit, let me take some numbers. If I take some inlet pressure is around some 15 bar and your exit pressure maybe around, usually it will be less than atmospheric, let me take it as some 0.08 bar. Okay, if the condition of the steam is dry, okay, if my condition of the steam is dry, it may start somewhere around 1.04 or 1.05, 1.06, and with an increase in stage efficiency, the curve will go something like this. The curve will go something like this. This will be the curve for if my condition of the steam is simply dry saturated. That is, I'm speaking of at 15 bar. If I slightly increase the condition of steam by certain degrees of superheat, let it be some 30 degrees or 40 degrees above its dry saturated condition, then my curve will change to something like this. Okay, my curve may change to something like this. So this will be like this. All will be going towards the, okay. This is for maybe some 30-degree superheat. If it goes further, okay, my curve will be something like this. My curve is something like this if it is 60-degree superheat. Like this, I can go up to 150 degree superheat, okay, or my curves will be like this. It becomes more steeper and steeper with an increase in my, so if the, maybe if I take, this will be around 150 degrees superheat, 150 degrees or 200 degrees superheat. So what we can tell clearly that my stage efficiency will increase at any given point. The stage efficiency will improve if the condition of the steam entering this stage of the turbine is higher and higher. So typically this numbers varies from 1.04 to 1.15. These are the typical numbers under which your steam turbines will work. Okay, so your RF varies between around 1.04 to 1.16. So this may be your dry steam. This may be a superheated steam at very high degree of superheat. Okay, so this we call it as effect of stage efficiency and superheat on reheat factor. Okay, the more the reheat factor, better your turbine will work.